Rod, if you're free, I have an extra ticket to the Warriors and Oil Kings game in Moose Jaw tonight, if you want to join me. I would love to, but I can't. To quote Sammy Seafood Sam, I'm busy.
How about that?
Where's Seafood Sam? Moved to Calgary. He's busy.
Yeah.
But thank you, Glenn.
Muna.
Big shots.
Sitting up there with the Russian national coach at the press conference.
Guy ran a seafood restaurant in Saskatoon, okay? His name was Seafood Sam. That was the name of the restaurant, and the Saskatoon Blades would bring him down to coach the All-Star or the intra-squad game, and he'd start brawls. And
I remember
Mona
hearing the story about Daryl Lubanicki. They told the guys no more fights, and so all of a sudden there's a fight, and then they drop the puck, and then there's another fight, and there's another.
He's coaching the intra-squad
One
game.
kid had fought 3 times, so Daryl Lubanicki said, "I'm going to put an end to this." And he walks around the rink, and he comes over to the kid who's had 3 fights, and he says, "What in is going on around here?" And the kid says, "That Chinese guy keeps sending me out to beat out of that." So he had to go to this Seafood Sam, who was this little 5'2" Chinese fellow who owned the local restaurant.
Seafood Sam's.
And tell him to knock it off.
No more fights.
How about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of a major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Welcome to the RP Show. Brand new week. Yeah. We're at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. We are beginning our last week in Canada for 2024. For me, anyways. Let's bring in the Moose. He's in
How about that?
Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hey, Moose. Hey. How are you, Moose? What's up?
I'm great. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome to a new week. No, things are great, man. It's like 28 degrees already this morning, and we've already got a workout in. Now we're going to talk some sports. Life's good.
It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in Canada's most notorious city, and we are live on Game Plus Television and, of course, WQEE Radio in Atlanta and always streaming live on YouTube. But I want to clear something up before we delve into the sports topics here. Summer ain't over. Breaking news. Summer ain't over.
How about that?
I'm seeing people post on social media, oh, farewell the summer. It was a great summer. Too bad it's over. No! One more week. Do we not know that Labor Day weekend is the end of summer? And shoot, we've had plus 30 temperatures in late September anyways, but don't bring me down. We're enjoying summer here, and we're going to talk summer sports. And actually, hockey as well. Can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please?
Right on.
Thank you, Director Jordan. Coming up on the Quick Six show topics, by the way, NFL, CFL, Toronto Blue Jays, our Pacific Division predictions. I'm assuming you saw, Darren, that we're going to do that, so you have yours ready to go. I'll look ahead at this upcoming week because it's a big one, and, of course, the ever-popular randoms. But, bit of a curveball here. The big story, we do it every day, the big story in my world and from what I see is the National Football League. And you're in Toronto, which they fashion themselves as an NFL city. I never quite got that, but we'll go with it. So I'll open with this. The NFL wrapped its preseason schedule on Sunday with 3 games. The Denver Broncos, who went 3-0 in the preseason, blitzed the winless Arizona Cardinals 38-12. The 3-0 Tennessee Titans outlasted the Saints 30-27 in New Orleans. Yeah, buddy! And the 1-2 Washington Commanders beat the visiting 1-2 New England Patriots 20-10 all on Sunday. So I got some NFL notes I want to get into here with you. I'm assuming you watched some of the games yesterday. I went back and forth last night between the CFL game and the NFL game. You got to love NBC. They threw the whole kitchen sink at the broadcast. Tirico, Collinsworth, the whole thing. We're sitting there with my guy Joe watching the game, and I'm like, dag nabbit, well, I keep thinking this is the Steelers. Because the Commanders were wearing those black outfits, right? But I got a couple things here. I was listening to my good friend Ryan Leaf this morning on NFL radio, and Ryan and I have gotten to be good friends. I don't know if I told you, he was part of the Sober Bowl program in Super Bowl last year. And he said this morning, he doesn't ever remember an NFL preseason where the rookie crop of quarterback performed this well. Pretty much all of them. Michael Penix so good on Atlanta that they shut him down for all of preseason. Bo Nix won the job in Denver. Drake May was pretty good last night for New England. They're saying Caleb Williams is the best of the bunch, and he should be. He was the number 1 overall pick. And if I just may, Darren, I laugh because last week, John Shannon said this current NHL collective bargaining agreement that's like a decade long is already out of date because the kids coming into the NHL on their first contract are way better than they've ever been at skill level, maturity, development. You know, same thing now is happening in the National Football League. And it reminds me when Connor Bedard was 15, and I had an argument with a guy from Hockey Canada saying he's ready to play now at the World Juniors. He's like, oh, there's only been one guy, Gretzky. And maybe Lindros did it or whatever. I said, but this is a different time. The kid's ready. What the hell do I know, Darren? But people are starting to realize the youngsters coming up are, again, better trained, more mature, you name it. So I don't know why they're surprised, but this is where we are. Have you noticed?
Yeah, and in the NFL, you're seeing it happen like right now, a lot of focus on the receivers, Jamar Chase, one of them, where they're too good and they've become top 5, top 10 receivers in the league, and they're not out of their rookie deal yet. And they're like, look, I need to get paid more money. I can't even finish out my rookie deal.
Yeah,
and you don't think Connor Bedard's thinking that in the National Hockey League, right? Like, he is not a player that's worth $900,000 a year. He's just not. You know, and Jamar Chase doesn't want to be a rookie deal, and they get like Caleb Williams is playing on a $25 million signing bonus. But like Jamar Chase wants to be a $30 million receiver, and he's playing like it. But that rookie deal constrains him a little bit. So, yeah, it is a little outdated.
You know, it's funny. My guy, Chris Sanford, Chris from the Bronx, is watching right now. He texted me just before the show because I'm going to be home in less than a week. In a week from now, I'll be home in Florida. And he's a Giants fan. And I'm wondering, Chris from the Bronx, since you're watching right now, because you told me you were going to be, I saw, when I say it's the big story, it's all of the NFL is the big story. And I saw this meme somewhere. Who's going to be the best Gotham City team? The best Big Apple team? The Jets or the Giants? And I'm like, well, this is pretty easy, right? They don't even have a number 1 quarterback, really. And the Jets are picked to be in the Super Bowl. So, unless I miss something, it's the Jets, 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 Jets. Now moving on to something else, the Pittsburgh quarterback situation. Mike Tomlin's just playing the reporters like a puppet on a string. And don't let me forget to talk about Deion Sanders and what's going on in Colorado. But in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin refuses to name his starting quarterback for week 1, and it's driving people crazy. Because neither Russell Wilson nor Justin Fields was great, but neither one was terrible. And all he'll say is that Russell Wilson is in the pole position coming out of the preseason leading into week 1. And I think it's genius if you're Mike Tomlin. I would take it all the way right up to whoever leads him out of the tunnel in week 1. Why does he have to name a number 1 quarterback in Pittsburgh other than everybody wants to know? You're following that, I'm sure.
I am. And look, it's Russell Wilson's your starting quarterback on week 1. He just is.
Okay.
I fully believe it. I mean, Mike Tomlin's going to hold those cards close to the vest, right? But I believe it's Russell Wilson. He was better in the preseason. He was, more accurate. He, did a lot more. Justin Fields took a lot of sacks, looked uncomfortable. I just think it's Russell Wilson. And because of his resume, I think he's earned the chance at least to start at the beginning. We'll see if Justin Fields gets an opportunity. But you're right. Like, why wouldn't Mike Tomlin keep this close? Inside his building, they know who's going to start. I believe it's Russ.
I believe they know, too. I love what Tomlin's doing. It's just all these years, and people still don't get what these guys are doing. It's hilarious to me. John Ohm writes in Winnipeg. He says, the kids are ready to rock NFL football. We're leading into week 1, man. Of course, that's the big story. Everybody's hyped up, and I'm telling you, it's becoming the #1 football league in Canada. It might be already. I'm not sure, but I get a kick out of, people are sneaking ahead. They're looking ahead in the textbook. No. They're commenting on my NHL Pacific Division predictions. We're all inclusive here. Say whatever you want. We're not going to jump down your throat, even though they're jumping down my throat already, Darren. But with the NFL preseason, you've seen the people say, I'm not watching NFL I'm not going to watch a bunch of no-names. And I did get a lot of that over the weekend. Then don't watch. But for all the things that we just talked about, I'm interested in it, and I'm paying attention to it. Trey Lance threw 5 interceptions for the Dallas Cowboys on Saturday. You don't need to watch, but they lost 26-19 to the Chargers in Jerry's world. And Trey Lance, who we were all hoping might be the next one because we're not sold on Dakota Prescott. No, he ain't. He is what we thought he was. Couple fun things. What do you got? I can see by your.
Well, no, you're right. Like he did throw like 330 yards. He did have some explosive athletic runs, including a 26-yard touchdown run. So he showed some flashes of like he can still be a great player. Those interceptions are awful. But Jerry comes out right after, and before there was any controversies, like he's making the roster. Don't worry. Despite the interceptions, he'll make the roster.
I see why everybody's jumped in on my NHL predictions. Clark threw them up in the comments, and it's driven people crazy. We'll get to them probably in the next segment. I do it every year, or at least this is the 3rd year that I've done it. Today we'll do the Pacific Division. Tomorrow we'll probably do the Metropolitan Division. On Wednesday we'll do the Central Division. Whatever. 1 division per day. So just hang on, everybody. We're getting to it. Poll question today is this. Will you play NFL fantasy football? And I have not looked at the poll results. For me, it's a no, dog. I played DraftKings, and it was a lot of fun. And I was doing a fair amount of winning, but it just became work. It just became work on that Sunday morning to who you're going to pick. And for you guys that are in the leagues, who you starting, who you sitting, who you trade. It's just, I got enough on my mind. I don't need to add to it. I can tell you that. So for me, it's a no. You? I'm pretty sure I know your answer. What is it?
Yeah, probably a yes. I will say that I have not committed yet, but I have to right away. Yeah, I'll play fantasy football. Usually do.
Right. You're not in a league yet, is what you're saying.
1 league. That's 60. It. I do 1 league.
Well, that's a yes. That's a yes.
But no, I'm not these guys that are in 5 or 6 leagues. Like, that's crazy. Give me 1.
Are you pregnant or are you not pregnant? Oh, I'm a little bit pregnant. Yes, it's a yes.
Oh, of course.
63%. 63% of respondents are saying no, they won't play NFL fantasy. So that's like the vast majority. Yet you get it crammed down your pie hole all fall thinking everybody's playing it. It's not. So, yeah, for me, it's a no. Clark, a yes or no from you? He's in 2. It's a yes. It's a yes from Clark. I'm outvoted. That's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the RP. What's Jordan? Is Jordan in an NFL fantasy league?
Stop trying to tilt the ballot.
I knew the answer. I already knew. Jordan and I are no. You and Clark are yes. It's a tie. The RP Show warm-up is brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We got it all. Use promo code RP Show for 15% off now. Check us out at SeatGiant.ca. 902-518-3033. The number to text us here in the studio or the YouTube stream as well. The Pacific Division NHL predictions coming up next segment, so just hold on. Don't get your panties in a bunch. People already getting upset. We're only on point 2. The Montreal Alouettes didn't panic when they trailed the visiting Edmonton Elks 17-6 at halftime Sunday night. Instead, the CFL's top team made adjustments on both sides of the ball and then outscored the Elks 15-0 in the second half to post a 21-7 victory and moved to 10-1. And Cody Fajardo was the problem in his last stop. 10-1, Montreal Alouettes. Elks had their 3-game win streak snapped. So just to look back at all of Week 12 in the CFL, we kicked around what happened Thursday night. Sask losing on the Rouge to the Argonauts. Well, had enough of that. Friday night, Winnipeg beat Hamilton. Whatever the score was, I got it up at rodpedersen.com. It was a double-digit win. No, it wasn't a double-digit win. Whatever
it was a last-second win.
That was the old, right. 10 seconds left. I got to go back and look it up here what the final was, but that one rested on a command center call, right? There was a penalty that extended the Bomber drive, and they scored the winning touchdown with 10 seconds to go. Winnipeg wins. Hamilton loses in Chris Jones' debut for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. At least they put up a fight, but they're past the point of moral victories, I think, there in Hamilton. Hang on, Moose. Oh, yeah, 26-23. What am I thinking? Bombers 26, Ticats 23. Kenny Lawler, the winning touchdown with 10 seconds to go. Saturday night, we got to spend a minute on this. Nathan Rourke does not look like himself. And the BC Lions lost in Ottawa 34-27. The Lions have lost how many in a row? I'm so looking forward now. I haven't stopped. They've lost a lot in a row, Rod. Five in a row. Yeah, and I said that Nathan Rourke, the NFL ruined him. That was somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but not a lot of people argued with me. He hasn't looked all that, Darren. I think we all expected a lot more in his return from the NFL now with the BC Lions. How about you?
Yeah, we did. He was better than in his debut. So if he continues to get better each week, I think BC will be fine. Maybe not necessarily to win a Grey Cup this year. I don't know. But they'll be fine. Everybody's, saying, oh, they made a mistake with the contract. And if he keeps getting better, he'll get back to the Nathan Rourke we're used to seeing. But there's big problems too. I mean, Nathan's not playing great. There's drops from those receivers. The defense is not, holding up their end. There's a lot of issues in BC right now. We thought Nathan Rourke would save them. It's not happening. Hasn't happened yet. We'll see what happens next week.
I'm going to get to the audience questions more and comments in a second. Dan, watching in Saskatoon, says, I'm looking forward to this week's episode of The Kerry Joseph Show. Hard Knocks on HBO. Michael Gregory's watching in Louisiana. He says, I've never been able to get into fantasy sports. To each their own, though. Oh, I'm exactly the same. Is there not if there isn't a fantasy football channel on satellite radio, there's at least shows dedicated to fantasy football. I'm not anti-it, but please stop shoving it down my throat. And also stop telling me about your fantasy team, because it's like the men's rec hockey team. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your team. I know you care, but nobody else cares. So we'll continue the football discussion. Hey, a Blue Jays player today, actually a Red Sox player today, is making history. In 100-plus years of Major League Baseball, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, you probably are, he's doing a first, never before been done in the majors. That's happening today. And, of course, the hockey predictions. So we'll be right back here live on Game Plus Television. Our radio partner is WQEE, streaming live on YouTube, of course, and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. and that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Ladies and germs and CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic at Aspen Links Golf Course in Regina this Saturday, hosted by me in the RP Show. It's your chance to golf of your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers. Greats, DM us for details. Please bring the moose ski in. Before I jump back into the topics, Darren, it's always fun with the viewer comments. That's what we do here. Oh, and the story. Some lady came in here. She looked like maybe a Karen, but a senior citizen Karen, you know. And keep in mind, It's episode number 1,324 of the RP Show. 1,324 shows we've. She comes in here in the Golden Ticket because there's a golf club over here, there's a tennis courts over here, there's obviously courts here, batting cages. It's got it all here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. And she goes, let me get this straight. You do a podcast down here? And I'm like, Uncle, 1,324 shows. I'm like, I said, it's on national television and on the radio. I said, what's your cable at home? She says, SaskTel Mac. I said, yeah, channel 427. Go home, turn it on. 10 a.m. to noon every day. I guess that's the good thing about things like neutral site games. Taking this show out and on the road, introducing ourselves to new people. But I can't decide. I thought it was just kids that were interested in podcasts, young people. She was not young. She's a senior. She plays tennis. And she's like, you do a podcast? 1,300 shows, Darren, still telling people what it is. I don't know, man. I guess that's a good thing.
Well, I think it's a good thing that new people are getting onto it. But how about her being up with it to think about podcasts? Maybe she's a big podcast consumer. I don't know.
Who knows, right? But I said to her, she's like, what do you talk about on there? And I said, well, today we're going to be talking about the NFL preseason, the CFL, NHL predictions. I said, well, it's kind of like The View. You know, we call ourselves The View for sports fans. She's like, well, I sure hope you're better than them.
How about
you have
that?
a great day. Just regarding the poll question today, will you play NFL fantasy football? Ryan in upstate New York says, I'm in 2 leagues. I used to also play fantasy baseball and hockey, but that was too much. 1 is too much for me. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I've never been into fantasy sports, but I can't explain why. I'm just not into it. Me either. Scott in Vancouver says, phone apps make it a bit more convenient for some to do fantasy leagues. I'm sure they do. Still not doing it. And Jeremy in Winnipeg says, Juju Smith-Schuster back to the Chiefs. I will say this. My guy, Ryan Leaf, said this morning, the Chiefs are playing chess. 3D chess, probably. I'll add that while everybody else is playing checkers. How they find a way to get Juju Smith-Schuster to fit into that. Plus, they have an undrafted running back who rushed for, what the hell was it, like 100 yards on 4 carries? Undrafted running back, the Chiefs. They're just doing it right, and everybody else is eating their dust. Mark in Melfort says, hey, Rod, are you going to be at the Labor Day game this weekend? That's a no for me, dog. But thanks for asking. I will be on a plane back to Florida, where it's summer year-round. Right, Chris? Who has tuned in? Chris from the Bronx. Okay, I'll get back to the comments in a second, or I could be mired in this all day. Point 3, the Toronto Blue Jays, who just swept a 4-game series with the visiting Angels, will play 2 games today at Fenway. The teams will first finish a game from June 26th that was suspended after 1 inning due to rain. Then they'll play their regularly scheduled game tonight. Boston catcher Danny Jansen will enjoy his odd slice of baseball history today as he prepares to become the first Major League player ever to appear in the same game for both teams. Jansen was in the lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays when their June 26th game in Boston was suspended due to rain. He was then traded to Boston. I have a tough time believing that's never happened. Of all the games that have been played over a century, this has never happened before? That, to me, is hard to believe.
Did you see the other wrinkle in that too? Because I think it's the current catcher of the Red Sox that was in that game either isn't with him or he's hurt. So Danny Jansen's going to come into the game to catch his own at bat that he's being pinch hit for. So he's going to catch the at-bat that he was supposed to at-bat for. He's going to be on both teams' box score. It's pretty wild. He should frame one of those jerseys, you know, where the parents cut them in half and put them together. He should frame one for himself.
I'll tell you what, baseball, you got to be a damn lawyer to figure out all these rules. Like, you know, with us losing in the bottom of the 9th inning, in the league final championship game, and there was that disputed run. I was trying to tell some guys on the weekend what happened. Some baseball, well, they're actually hockey guys who knew baseball. Because in this country, we grew up, at least around me, and the girls that I went with, we played hockey in the winter and baseball in the summer. So we know both fairly well. And I told them what happened where a guy, my guy, Bobby Biceps, was covering second, threw the ball to first, and went into the dugout. The base runner was given 3 bases. So from first, he was given second, third, and home. In a 3-3 game, we ended up losing by a run in the league championship. Serena said to me, she's like, she's back in Florida now. She's like, did you guys ever figure out if the ump had that right? And I'm like, we all kind of just decided to move on. What are we going to do? Go back and play it? There's a lot of this in baseball. Yankees slugger Aaron Judge hit his 50th home run of the season, connecting in the first inning against the Colorado Rockies Sunday. Judge joins A-Rod, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and Babe Ruth as the only players in Major League history with 3 50 home run seasons. Listen, by the way, we got 2 hours to get to all the talk. So we we did cover Week 12 in the CFL. I want to get to this because we do it every year at this time. End of August, early September, our predictions for the Pacific Division. I hope you have yours written down, Darren. Here are mine and the reasons why. In the Pacific Division, from 1st to 8th, I've got Edmonton number 1. They're picked still to go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Pretty good chance they'll win the division. I've got Edmonton 1. I got Vancouver 2. They won it last year and will be at least as good this year. Number 3, Vegas, because they're Vegas. 4, Seattle. New coach in Dan Bilesma, and while for whatever reason he has his detractors, he's proven he's won a Stanley Cup. I think he'll be enough to get him into the playoffs. 5th, the LA Kings. They have made a lot of really dumb decisions, the LA Kings. They have. At least they didn't hold on to Pierre-Luc Dubois, but still. Jim Hiller seemed, well, hey, anybody who's a Western Hockey League guy knows Jim Hiller. I'm sure he'll be fine, but I don't think he can overcome the dumb decisions that are being made by the people above him in LA. So I got them 5th. 6th, the Anaheim Ducks, because until they prove to me that they're ready, they're not ready. 7th, the San Jose Sharks, who, wonderful. They got Askarov on the deal, the Nashville goalie. I think he's only played 3 games. Mike Greer says we're convinced that he's going to be a number 1 goalie. Maybe, but maybe not. They were still minus 150. Minus 150. And if you think that was all on goaltending? And last place, the Calgary Flames. And I'm sorry for all of our Calgary viewers, but somebody's got to be there. And I was just there in Calgary. They're going into a rebuild. What did you expect? You're going to go into a rebuild and actually make the playoffs? Doesn't work that way. So those are my 8. What's yours?
That's pretty good. We're going to have some differences here. I personally think the top 4 and the bottom 4 stay the same, like the same teams, just different orders. So I have Edmonton number 1. I have LA number 2. Different than you. I have a different outlook on the Kings. I think they're young and going to take a step forward. I have Vancouver 3rd because they were really good last year. They'll be good again. I don't think they'll be a 50-win team. And then I have Vegas 4th, Seattle 5th, Anaheim 6th, Calgary 7, and I have San Jose still an 8. I think they're just going to be young. I think they're going to be better, but I think they're going to take 2 or 3 seasons to jump out of the basement.
Okay, thank you. You got those written down somewhere? I have mine written down. I went to try and find my book from a year ago, and it's in Florida right now. So, and I didn't feel like asking Serena to go digging into closets to find it. So, by the way, some people have already taken offense to things that I've said today. That didn't take long.
That didn't take long.
Terry, the lawyer, in Calgary writes in. He says, "Hey, a damn lawyer? Why so thin-skinned?" I said, you got to be a lawyer to figure out the baseball rules. It's actually a compliment saying you guys are smart. Listen up. Tank in the Energy City says, Rod Whoopi Pedersen, best sports host going. Have a great show, boys. Talking about Whoopi Goldberg and us being the view of sports fans. Brent in Florida writes in. He says, I sign up for both fantasy football and hockey, and RJ manages both and won $1,500 last year. College fund was son's 8. Might as well start him early. Scott in Vancouver says, good to know about Chase. I didn't know that he's holding out. Hang on, Moose. Okay, back to thank you, Jeremy. He says Carson Steele is the running back, undrafted free agent. Yeah, he's like this great find by the Chiefs. Here's the thing. So many young people think when they don't get drafted, their life's over. It ain't. Keep working hard. Until the day you decide to quit, that's when it's over. There's today's life tip, by the way, too, Darren. But for our American friends and those that have never been to the Canadian prairies, we're around hockey people all the time. I saw somebody, or I saw people say, how was your weekend? I'm like, holy smoke. Busier than I would have planned. I was at the car races Friday night. I was at Estevan Bruins hockey camp with the hockey people. Then I had coffee Saturday morning. There's a lot of hockey people around there. And then I was in the Queen City, and I was talking to a guy that still has a problem with Paul Maurice. And I said, what's your problem? What's that? Back in 1986 in Hartford, this happened. What? You're still holding on to something that happened 30-some years ago? Yeah. That guy's a blankety blank. Welcome to the world, Darren. Because I'll tell you what, I said to the guy, I said, there's people mad at me for things that happened decades ago and for good reason. Hey, for very good. But I'm not the same guy. If you got a problem with Paul Maurice and what happened in the 80s when he admitted as a 26-year-old head coach of the Hartford Whalers, he had no idea what he was doing, get over it. But no, I'm the one. And the other one was I was with some Detroit Red Wings fans, and they're like, this is going to be our year. I'm like, you guys say that every year. So until it is your year, I'm not going to pick you. But none of those conversations will probably surprise you, Moose.
Not at all. That's typically how it goes, But guys, they hold grudges. Look at the Oilers, St. Louis Blues offer sheets. But those are recent grudges, right? But, once a hockey player, always a hockey player, and you battle on the ice, you're in my bad books. You typically stay there. So thank God that, most of my grudges, if there has been any, have gone away. We've gotten over.
I know nobody's going to listen. Nobody's going to listen to this at all, but it was in my coach Lisa's office in Jupiter, Florida in the spring. She goes, you need to release the anger. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to be angry. And it just it was like dust out of LeBron James' hands. Gone. I don't want to be angry. So it's a great way to live. I don't know how many people want to join me out there. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2.
See you then.
Abu is next. Perfect timing. We'll be right back on this Monday. It's the RP Show live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center on Game Plus, WQEE Radio, streaming on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch. Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. With Shenandoah. You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road. Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center. I'll take the dirt road. Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. 6 days on the road and I'm Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic at Aspen Links in Regina this Saturday, hosted by the RP Show. Your chance to golf with your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers grades. DM us for details. We got a great of both. Please welcome in Mike Abou-Mechrek, Grey Cup champion, 10 years in the CFL. He's got the muscle shirt on. Can we call it that? Hello, Abou.
He's rocking the muscles,
my friend. Yeah.
Good to see you. Long time no see. It's nice to have the muscle shirt on. I wish I had the muscles to go with it, though.
You do. Don't be so humble. Abou, I don't know. It's Labor Day week. In point 5, I've got written week look ahead. We might as well get into it right now. Bombers, Riders, Mosaic Stadium Sunday. It doesn't get a lot better than that. In football, it doesn't matter the league or level, does it?
No, and it doesn't matter how the teams are. I feel like that, like you could just push, play on what we say every year. It doesn't matter how good the teams are. It doesn't matter what your record is. Doesn't matter anything. This is going to be a slobber knocker. It always is. It's a street fight. So, I mean, throw the records out the window. I mean, the records are good, but throw them out the window because that's how this game always ends up. Goes down to the wire and flip a coin.
You and I have done a lot of shows over the years, and I know it took you a while to figure out how we do this, because I remember like the first time we started previewing the Labor Day Classic, I'm like, "Abou, who's going to win?" And you said, "The team that wants it more." And I'm like, "Great, we still have 2 hours to fill."
You know what's funny? I was going to text you last night saying, "What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about?" But I think we always have a better conversation when we don't plan it, and it just goes off the rails, and we go over our time limit, and we swear, and just we just do whatever.
That's why we're not there anymore.
Right. Well, hey, you got us here, right?
Yeah.
Wherever here.
Oh, yeah. No regrets. Just saying. But let me say this, though. Give me some honest analysis on this. Bombers have gone 5-2 since starting 0-4, and the Riders are winless in 5. So you got two teams literally going in opposite directions. Does that continue this weekend, do you think?
Well, the Riders got their starting quarterback, right? Any team that loses their starting quarterback, basically not throw the season down the drain, but unless you're steaming Willie Beeman coming off the bench, it's going to be tough to get any wins without the most important player on your roster. So the Riders are back. They showed that last week when they were when they came to play. I think they played they played a complete game at least for 3 quarters. And I love that. I love the walk-off rouge. Love it. And anyone who doesn't isn't Canadian. It makes the game different. It makes our game different.
Yeah.
It makes the CFL. We watch the XFL and how boring it is. But XFL is just a bunch of casts off from the NFL. They're trying to do the same thing in the same environment. That's not as good. Not only the NFL casts off, but also the practice roster guys. The guys we're watching the XFL or USFL are guys that couldn't get on the practice roster. The CFL isn't like that, and maybe I'm talking more to the American audience right now. But the CFL isn't like that. It's a different skill set, right? A lot of the skills cross over. But, we see Weston Dresslers. We see little diminutive receivers that might not be able to make it down in the confined area of the NFL game or the American game rather, but they find a home up here. We find quarterbacks that sling the rock differently up here. It's a different game. Yes, guys that are in the CFL are trying to make it to the NFL where the payday is, but I love how our game is different.
That's also fine too. But listen, you played with Milt Stegall, so you know Milt, but he's not Canadian. And he said, "What if a Grey Cup ends in this?" So let me just say this: what if a Grey Cup ends? And I wouldn't have a problem with what happened Thursday night if that happened in a Grey Cup because it is the rules. How would you feel?
The rules are the rules. I would be happy. Like you said, those are the rules. I never understand. I don't understand when people get upset about this. I don't understand because it happens in every game every week. It's just not to end the game. I mean, getting 1 point is huge. It's why we have all the returns. The NFL is going upside down and backwards, trying to force its teams to have kick returns. They're doing everything to make the kicking game relevant. It's already relevant in CFL. It's built into the rules where you have to return it. If you don't return it, you give up a point. If you don't return a punt, the punter comes and collects it and you give up possession. So, I mean, it's very much what makes the 1 yard difference, the extra player in the wider field. Those are all things, but the single point, the rouge, adds a great dimension to our game that makes it different. Like I already feel like I've talked too much about it, let alone everyone else complaining about it.
No. Well, you were supposed to be here Thursday. We could have talked about it more. It's worked out fine, or Friday, whatever it was. I'm a little worried because we're agreeing here, and that never happens. I will say this. Is it nonsensical to pick a winner in the Labor Day Classic? Like nonsensical to even try?
Are you sponsored by a betting group? Because if you are, I would go on there and see what the spread is. And if it's less than the field goal, go with the home team. Home team sent to, in those close games that you can't call, I think the home team does. When we play, I played in 7 of them, and I think the home team won, most of the time anyways.
Riders
go with the home team.
2.5. Riders favored by 2.5. And that's that covers. Yeah, and I think this is the 60th Labor Day Classic, but I don't know, and I haven't seen it written anywhere. So I think it's the 60th. I'm not sure. Let me ask you this real quickly. It looked like a lot of fun Thursday night at BMO. Obviously, you watched it. The fair was going on in the background, the Ferris wheel in the end zone. Do you have a regret that to our Toronto viewers, you grew up a 5-minute bike ride from Rogers Centre? Do you wish you would have played for the Argos? Do you ever think about that?
No, I don't, because then we wouldn't have had that magical 2007 season. I basically, lifted my skirt up and said to the Argos, please sign me because I want to stay home and be with my sick mom. And I just had a baby. The baby's going to university tomorrow, but and they gave me a minimum wage contract. And so, no, you're asking for help and they slap you in the face. So no, I never wanted to play for the Argos. Maybe for a very short time, but they can kiss my
so it hasn't
jug
changed.
Of water. How about
so the dirty side of the game has not changed. Okay, fair enough. I got it. Hasn't got any better or worse, basically.
But it is. I do like growing up with an immigrant family in Toronto. I do love seeing people show up to. Being a fan of the CFL, you want to see people go to the game and having that fair and having the CNE and having that atmosphere. I absolutely love it. Like there's just the extra buzz in the air when you get that many people together. Hopefully they're in the stadium rather than out of the stadium, but you do what you can.
Exactly. Am I going to see you with the alumni thing this weekend or not?
No, I'm bringing my baby to UBC. Yeah, I'm out of town for a couple weeks and then I'm back in Regina. So, and I think you're gone by then.
Good for you
so
for
we'll
doing
see.
that. Yeah. Okay. Well, please say hi to her for me. Caleb too.
Absolutely.
And thanks for the time today.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go. Let's go Riders and Bombers, but mostly Riders.
Mike, the great Mike Abou-Mechrek. Thanks, guys, and thank you, Abou. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover in a moment. John Liu coming up in hour 2. We are live on Game Plus Television, our TV partner. Our radio partner is WQEE in Atlanta, streaming live on YouTube, of course, and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hope you enjoyed the fun little jaunt down memory lane there with Abou. Those were some pretty wild shows we had back in the day. Very popular, too, I might add. Time goes on. By the way, we're brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary with state-of-the-art shooting lanes and top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and levels. Whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. To the text line, 902-518-3033 regarding will you play NFL fantasy football this fall. Greg in Calgary writes in, he says, I do a pick pool, but no fantasy. To me, then, that's a no. A pick pool is different. Specifically, the questions, will you play NFL fantasy? That is different. Buffalo Bill writes in. He says, greetings and hallucinations from sunny Jamestown, North Dakota. CFL West Division is tight. The league has parity at the moment. Awesome. All the home teams won in week 12. All the home teams won in week 12. All the road teams won in week 11. You can't pick this league for... But I did go 3-1. Moose and I did not talk about that, but we will. Larry in Medicine Hat writes in, and he says, nice to see the Riders made it on Pardon the Interruption on Friday. Last time they were mentioned was when Vince Young was rumored to join the team. Unfortunately, the host still can't pronounce the team name. Saskatchewan. Easy to draw, hard to spell. Chris in Heidelberg, Ontario writes in. He says, looking forward to watch Danny Jansen catching his Blue Jay at bat for the Red Sox this afternoon. Baseball can be gloriously strange. Love it. And we did cover that earlier in point two. Danny Jansen doing something no player has ever done in the over century of baseball, Major League Baseball, and that is play for two teams in the same game. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in, and he says, how long do those rookie contracts go in the NFL? Seems like Chase and Lamb have been in the league for 4 or 5 years already. My man JJ got a new contract. How long's he been around? Well, here's the thing. You can rip up the rookie deals and give the guys new contract. But Jared doesn't want to do that. And clearly the Bengals owner doesn't want to do that either. So you can rip up those deals. You absolutely can. I want to say they're 3 years. Somebody want to write in with clarification? We got all these agents watching this show. They tell me. 902-518-3033. Oh, Yankees slugger Aaron Judge wrote his name in the history books again Sunday. He hit his 50th and 51st homers of the season in the Yankees' 10-3 win over Colorado. Judge joined A-Rod, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and Babe Ruth as the only players in MLB history with 3 50-home run seasons. From the CFL, wide receiver Cole Speaker and quarterback Cody Fajardo led a second-half comeback as the league-leading Montreal Alouettes defeated the Edmonton Elks 21-17 in a thriller Sunday night to cap Week 12 in the CFL. We're brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, blink twice. Listen to this. When tech billionaire Slate King, played by Channing Tatum, meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala, sparks fly. He invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on his private island. Wild nights blend into sun-soaked days, and everyone's having a great time. No one wants this trip to end, but as strange things start to happen, Frida begins to question her reality. I started reading the preview for this. I'm like, sold. We're going to a movie tonight, Joe. Blink twice in Landmark Cinemas, now starring Channing Tatum.
How about that?
Next out, yeah, buddy. I'm anything but Channing Tatum. I'm sold. Captain America. Moose comes back in hour 2. I feel like we'll have a lot more time to get into all of these things that we just popped the top on in hour 1. Pacific predictions, NFL notes, CFL Labor Day matchups coming up this weekend. It's all ahead, along with TSN's John Liu, after this brief pause here on Game Plus Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. That is a fact. It's the RP Show, Hour 2. We're beginning our final week of the year in Canada. 1 week from today, I'll be back in Florida. Let's bring in the Moose. He's in Toronto. Yesterday, by the way, of all the things I did, Moose, I said I had a very busy weekend. I had lunch with our guy, Tyler. You remember Tyler, our first sales manager? He didn't know that you moved to Toronto.
How about
He's
that?
He's been a little busy in his own world. So I updated him on everything, and we had a big old time at the Tap, and we got ready, talked about this upcoming golf tournament next weekend, Labor Day Classic weekend. He's going to be golfing in it. I'm just going to tell everybody, just calm down, hold your horses. We got a whole lot to get to here in Hour 2, and I'm just, maybe that's for myself, just, woosah. I think this also, Darren, is why I think the spring is a better time of year than the fall, because there's too much going on. Football at all levels, hockey starting up, me moving from, going from Canada to the States for the fall. Boy, I don't know about you. Allie in Texas writes in, she says, Happy Monday, RP and Squad. It's almost hockey time. Yes, Allie, if you weren't watching in Hour 1, I had my Pacific Division predictions for the season. I'm just going to rattle them off right now. Edmonton 1, Vancouver, Vegas, Seattle. That's your playoff cut line. Edmonton, Vancouver, Vegas, Seattle. Missing the playoffs, L.A., Anaheim, San Jose, Calgary. So there. That's the hockey we talked about in Hour 1. We can talk about it more in Hour 2 if you want. But, yeah, I mean, let me just say this. I think people are ready to put Week 12 in the CFL behind them. They're looking forward to this weekend's Labor Day matchups. The NFL preseason concluded yesterday. And this is what I wanted to ask. And the cutdown's tomorrow. It's less than 2 weeks till the season kicks off, and then the college season opened on the weekend. So I want to ask where your sports focus is. Forget about football, but where's your sports focus right now, Darren?
It is all over the place, Rod. And you're right. Like, this is crazy. University football's in full swing. So I guess right today, university football in Canada is probably where most of my focus is. But then it's like zing to the CFL. The NFL is trying to come down my face, and I'm like trying to get into that. And U.S. college football is ready. And I'm starting to think about junior hockey starting up at the end of September, right? And that's kind of being shoved in my face. I mean, how do you keep this all straight? But you know what? We love sports, so we find a way.
Why are you so red? Utah Darren writes in, and he says, they actually had a state fair at a CFL game. Did someone tell Pat McAfee? I want to slow this down for a second, and we'll get to story time here. But, yeah, on Thursday night in Toronto, they had the city fair. Let's just call it the state fair at the game. But you know what? And the game ended in a rouge. It was the perfect night. You were there. I think you would have tested. It looked fantastic on television. Whoever was doing the play-by-play, I think it was Rod Smith and Studer. They had the Ferris wheel going around between their shoulders. It was amazing. But speaking of McAfee, I want to tell people this because it's hilarious to think about. So many of my new friends, my new world in Florida and even in Moose Jaw, they have a tough time believing that I was ever the wildest son of a bitch that walked. I'm not proud of it, but I was. And so I watched college football on Saturday at Peanut Butter Pete's house. He was working, so I watched the Georgia Tech FSU game because the Florida State Seminoles were the most talked about team in America. Probably NFL included, but for sure college football, Florida State. I had to watch that game. And they lost on a walk-off. And I think we were all paying attention to what Pat McAfee was doing there, college game day. Did you see that he closed down the bar the night before, ripped his shirt off, was pouring drinks in the bar? And I was thinking about, and everybody's going nuts, getting 80,000 likes on Instagram, and the Spittin' Chicklets guys were doing the exact same thing at the Stanley Cup. And I was kind of just sitting there going, when I did all that, I was sat down and told it was unacceptable. And there really was no wiggle room on that. And now it's major league celebrated. So I think we settled on this morning. I was just, again, too far ahead of my time. What do you think, Darren? Because they're having a good time. I don't think they're hurting anybody. But people are like, you're 37. No. Yeah, like, what the hell's the problem? You're not hurting anybody.
Without, in the days of no social media and all the rest, it was, you couldn't, I don't know. They're having fun with it now. It's just a different time. And you're right, maybe ahead of your time. But I'm also need to remind you, what was your Deion Sanders point from an hour ago? You wanted me to remind you.
Oh, thanks. That. Oh, my God. Thanks for bringing that up. I have a love-hate relationship with The Athletic. I do, because when I got a lot of people coming to me. Jeff and Estevan comes to mind, our hotelier friend. He's like, I'm looking for good content. I'm looking for good content because there's a lot of crap out there. And I said, The Athletic, man, you got to pay for it, but I know you well enough to know, Jeff, you'll really enjoy it. I really enjoy The Athletic. I've got like 3 different subscriptions to it. Every time I turn around, I'm getting billed for something from The Athletic. I think it's because I have like 3 different addresses. So I saw an article on Deion Sanders, year 2 at Colorado with the Buffaloes, and how he's got this fight with the columnist. Did you see this in Colorado? Yes. You must have. So basically, he won't do any news conferences as long as this columnist is in the room. So I got halfway through this column on The Athletic, and it says, sign up for free. You're reading subscriber-only content. I'm like, I got 3 subscriptions. I pay like $80 a year and $13.99 a month and $1 a day on all these different accounts. I'm like, get your act together, The Athletic. I'm paid. I'm a subscriber. I don't get why I'm always getting kicked out because I pay. I'm getting the invoices, Darren. I'm getting my credit card statement. But I'm not getting wound up about that. What I'm getting wound up about is You talk about it's a different time in sports. Do you actually think Deion Sanders having a beef with this one columnist is the first in history? Like, I'm very interested to see how this plays. My God, we could write a book on coach and GM or owner beefs with the media. And I swear to God, the media always wins. And so I was thinking about this year. So Deion Sanders, I'll say it again. This one columnist, I'm sure, was particularly tough on Deion last year. The first half of the season went great. The second half went terrible. Deion Sanders, Darren, I think you would agree, is probably the face of what's wrong with college football right now. If you think there's something wrong with it, because just so you know, the players and coaches really don't. I think the school administrators do in a lot of ways, the fans, right? But I think Deion's the face of what's wrong with the college football, and this columnist is on his ass about it. So now he won't let that guy in the room when he has news conferences. I think it's funny. Well, how do you? You're obviously following it. And by the way, I'm a Deion fan.
He won't take any questions from him. The university is backing Deion on this. He has language in his contract which allows him to approve what media he talks to. And that columnist did write an article saying, you know what, he's probably right, because he cited different things that the columnist had wrote that was disrespectful last season. And the columnist is just not a fan. He doesn't like Deion, doesn't like the program, doesn't like how loud he is. And when you say he's the face of what's wrong with college football, I don't know if I quite agree with that, but he's definitely the face on what's changed. He is very active in the portal. He uses that tag, I ain't hard to find, outwardly telling players, hey, jump in the portal. You can find me and come play for Colorado. You know, he's very much like that. New school college football, not old school college football. He's brash. He's outgoing. It works for him, but it rubs a lot of people the wrong way, no doubt. And we'll see where this goes with Deion. He had a very contentious press conference with media where he was kind of fighting back and forth with a lot of media about a couple of weeks ago. He's under a lot of pressure, and they're expected to have big results. Maybe not right away, but big expectations. So all eyes are on Colorado.
Every coach is under pressure. I'm not arguing with you, but what I'm saying is the media is acting like this is the first umbrage between a coach and the media. It's been going on for 100 years. I think that's where and why, and let's be honest, our demographic, based on our ratings at Game Plus, we own the 55-plus age demographic. So the point on that is I've been around a while, 36 years in the business. Take that good or bad, it's been a long time. And but now, my God, every market had something like this. Do we need to go back and remember John Tortorella and Larry Brooks, right? Fun, right? And all those coaches. It's not new. And so the coach doesn't like something the columnist said. You have to understand. I don't want to go too far down my soapbox here. But I was on a podcast in Florida last week. Adrian, good guy. The host goes, have you gotten to know a lot of the Panthers since you've been covering the Panthers? I'm like, no, and I don't want to. And he looked at me like, if I get to be buddy-buddy with these guys, I can't do my job right. And I see a lot of this. Young people getting into the sports media. I don't know about the news media. It's too far gone. Don't care. Don't trust anything that I see there. But in sports, all these young people getting in, and they want to tweet about, oh, so-and-so player said this to me. You know, and they're dying to get the ball cap or the golf shirt from the team. And it's like, when the team gives you that, there's a very large price to pay. It's your soul. And in a lot of ways, the credibility. So these old school columnists and writers, and that's why I'm writing now for the South Florida Tribune. I don't want to work for the teams because they want to control what you say. The Deion Sanders, is he above criticism? That's how the business has changed. I'll just say it. I don't think this is a bad thing to say. When I got into the business, the teams and the PR people were all, what can we do for you? And now it's, what are you going to do for us? I'm sitting here going, nothing. No, because what I'm doing is for the audience, not for you. You know, and Deion Sanders, by the way, all he's got to do is win. I mean, you look at his Colorado which he's a winner. So I think he'll be okay. Well, you said that he rubs people the wrong way. Yeah. He's confident, highly successful. Not everybody's going to like that. You know? Who do you feel is right in this? If there is somebody that's right, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe, there's probably a little bit of blame to go around because, I'm a big believer in, mutual respect to everybody, and everybody's got a job to do. And once you leave that press conference room, it kind of is over. It should be at that point. But, Dion is, using this new media. He's trying to control the message and say, look, I have a following. I'm at the podium. I can control what people say about my team and the way my players are portrayed. It's no longer just whatever the media wants to write, and that's what people will read. They can now watch my social and see my points of view, and I control the message. So it's a bit of a battle between Dion and the media.
Doesn't necessarily have to be, but our audience is into this. Utah Darren writes in, he says, Coach Prime, tough guy's getting his feelings hurt by a columnist. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, Coach Prime is who he was as a player. We all know that. He'll never change. And that's fine. He's good for college football. Rich in Edmonton says, I guess that's what I'm saying, Brooksy.
How about that?
Let's remember a lot of the media are losers. There's good guys, but there's a lot of losers too. I'm not saying Larry Brooks is. I've never met him. But sometimes they deserve the scolding that they get. Also, a lot of times we don't. Monty in Saskatoon writes in and he says, he was a Cowboys player in Dallas. Thanks, Monty.
Bingo!
Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in, he says, media scrums are always high tension with big personalities like Prime. Well, here's another one. This is why my column in the South Florida Tribune is going to be gangbusters. I'll tell you why. I already wrote one. And last week I wrote in there how at the end of last season, John Cooper said, Steven Stamkos belongs here. It won't be, I don't imagine this will be a long conversation. The next time we heard from the Lightning, Stamkos signed in Nashville. And I put in the column, this is a sign to me that this is a coach and a GM not on the same page. Cooper's saying one thing about Stamkos, the GM is doing another. I had somebody write me and go, I love your column. You're saying it the way that it is. I'm like, it's all right there. It's right in front of you. Why does it take me to point it out? You know what I mean, Darren? But I guess the teams would rather you didn't do that, but I only know one way to do it.
Somebody's got to connect the dots.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Utah Darren writes in and says they don't want the Utah team called Coyotes. It's funny that he would say that because I'm hearing them called the Coyotes. I mean, I'm in Canada where we talk hockey every day, and people are referring to them as the Coyotes. They should have had a team name already. They should have had one.
I know.
What do you think?
You're letting the every day that goes by that you don't have a team name, you're letting people decide what they're going to call you a little bit. And yeah, it's the Utah Hockey Club for now, or whatever they're going by. But no, get a team name. Otherwise, people are going to refer to them as the Coyotes because that's what, again, we say things so that people understand what we're saying. When you say the Coyotes, you understand, okay, the team that moved, the team that was in Arizona all these years. When you say the Utah hockey team, nobody knows what the heck you're talking about. So get up a team name.
That's their own fault.
People will stop. Yeah.
It's their own fault. Yeah. Allie in Texarkana writes in, she says, Dion was so good for the Cowboys, and now he's good for college football. Signed, this hockey girl. And here's the other thing, just quickly on that, and I do want to talk CFL next because I know that's why a lot of people came here. I watched all the games, so goodness, I want to talk about that. But his son, Shitter Sanders, is top 20 projected for the draft next year, right? And it reminds me a lot of Cole Sillinger with his dad, Mike. Mike could have lived anywhere. He played for 12 NHL teams. Cole was born in Columbus. The Sillingers have a house in Scottsdale. They could have very easily have lived in Scottsdale. But no, they wanted to move back to Regina as a family. So all their boys, but specifically Cole, would have the ability to grow up and play in the best caliber of hockey. And it's worked. All those boys are playing high-level hockey, and Cole just signed it for the bag in Columbus. And it's like with Shitter. Dion wants to foster his son's development and oversee it in Colorado, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But I don't think you can deny that the team folded like a cheap suit in the second half of the college season last year. And the jury's out what's going to happen this year. So I guess this is are you on the media side or the Sanders side? Sounds like most people are on Dion's side, but I guarantee you, everybody's watching. That's the one thing the leagues fail to recognize is that this is good. The controversy is good, but they hate it. We'll be right back. Our television partner is Game Plus, as always. Our radio partner is WQEE in Atlanta. We're streaming live on YouTube daily and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, we are brought to you in part by Saskatoon's Battle for Recovery. Join award-winning recovery speakers like singer Shaylin Fox, podcaster Daniel Hearn, Dr. Wendy Gore-Hickman, and sober coach and Hall of Fame broadcaster Rod Pedersen at TCU Place in Saskatoon as we celebrate recovery and share experiences this Friday, August 30th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's already sold out, so thank you. I'm just reading it because they're still bringing you the show. Please bring in the Moose now. We are all getting together Thursday, Darren. Saskatoon's more your town than mine, but all of us speakers are getting together for supper Thursday night. Chef Jay Bernard is making a large dinner for us all, and the recovery people are the ones that make me the happiest. Sorry, the sports people don't. So I'm looking forward to Saskatoon. On Friday, very much looking forward to that. Just some text messages from the listeners, Darren, and viewers, 902-518-3033. Adeline writes in, and she says, good morning, Rod. I just wanted to tell you that Aaron Judge hit his 50th and 51st home runs Sunday. We read it twice last hour, Adeline, but thank you. He's now the fourth major leaguer. Is it the fourth? A-Rod, McGuire, Sosa, Babe Ruth, fifth to hit 50 home runs 3 straight years. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba says, hi, Rod and Moose. Should the CFL ban the air horns in Montreal? Annoying. Did you watch the game last night, the Edmonton-Montreal game on TSN?
I caught most of it.
Okay. Well, number one, those Alouettes uniforms were fire. They should consider wearing those every game. And the lids, too. Secondly, I can't remember the girl's name. I think it's Kenzie Lalonde. She does a very good job on TSN sideline reporting. Mm-hmm. And whoever she was interviewing, one of the guys from that old Alouettes team, he's like, I can't hear you. What? And it was very unsightly. It didn't look good. Can't blame him. I couldn't hear him either. And my takeaway was it was very weird seeing Wally Buono in Alouettes red and blue. But for the first time, it really was distracting for me. And I don't know if they should ban those horns or if they even can. But I saw it last night or heard it. That's why I don't have the sound up. Like, I had it up because I'm watching the game with Joe. And he quite often points out idiotic things said by the announcers. And finally he turns to me and goes, now I know why you don't have the sound up. I don't have the sound up when I watch games. It's not a thing against anybody. Colin Pedersen said it a couple years ago, the Flames Stanley Cup winner. He's like, I can see what's going on the ice. I don't need to be told. So I don't have the sound up. So I guess that's why I never noticed it till now. Now I got to have the sound up because of Joe. And it's annoying. I want to turn it down again. Do you notice the horns?
Yeah, I do. I've never really been annoyed by them. I always thought it was charming. Last night was a little bit annoying, and I can see the argument now. But, it's part of that Canadian football game day experience, those horns. And it used to be, you'd hear that at college games across the country and all the rest. It's not an NFL thing. It's not a U.S. college thing. It's a Canadian thing. And it's part of what's been in our game for a long time. I'm still okay with it. But I don't know. It was a little annoying last night.
Rich in Edmonton writes that he says, my wife doesn't allow me to watch games from Montreal on TV. It's too annoying for her and our cats with those horns. Well, you could do what I do, and that's turn the sound down to like 3. Just a little bit of noise, but not enough to know what's being said. But I don't know. Again, here's me being way ahead of everybody. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in and he says, so many young hipster journalists these days love to boast on social media that they're getting into games with credentials, and people congratulate them. It's like they're broadcasting a buddies trip. I know. Bomber Boy writes in and he says, Utah dragging their feet on naming their team is a huge marketing fumble. Utah Darren writes in, he says, the Utah owner is taking the time to do a credible rebrand. The move happened way too late to do an NHL franchise justice with a name change and rebrand. Yes or no, you could probably also whip it up in a day. I'll be honest, I've been doing this a long time. I've been around these marketing with their $1,500 glasses and their $70 haircuts. We're going to take our time and do it right. And in the meantime, they don't do it at all. So I do know in these leagues that there is like a year-long buffer if you want to change your logo, change your uni, change anything. So that's probably what it is. But this just ain't going over real well, right? So if you go back and read Emily Kaplan, my good friend from ESPN, wrote a great article at ESPN.com how Ryan Smith, the Utah owner, contacted Gary Bettman in January and said, just so you know, we're ready to go. You got a team to move? We're ready. We got the rink ready. We got the money ready. And it was like March after the latest hijinks from Morello, the Coyotes owner, where Bettman's like, I've had enough of this guy. Calls Ryan Smith in Utah and says, are you serious? He's like, yep, let's do it. So that's how fast that happened. So again, there is a rule, bylaw, I believe. You can't change a name or a logo without a year's notice, and that's kind of what I think is what they're going through here, Darren. But don't tell me you couldn't do it. People are dying for it right now. What do you think?
They want to buy the merch, man. That was what happened in Seattle and Vegas, especially Seattle. People were buying jerseys, buying merch ahead of the season as you're selling tickets and all the rest. Look, you can put something out in probably, if you got to get the league involved and you have to get TV partners involved and all the rest for branding, 4 to 6 weeks. Okay? 4 to 6 weeks. For yourself, you could do it in 2 weeks or a week, like really quickly. Like get all those assets. I mean, the only thing that's going to take time is getting banners printed and billboard, the stuff printed and distributed and shirts ordered. That's it. You could put this together easily in a week or two, for sure.
We got some great stuff coming in from our Rod Squad, the gang here today. The Barflies in Winnipeg writes in, the Barflies says, those air horns should have been banned long ago. If that's allowed, you should be allowed to pump in crowd noise through the PA system. Fan noise should be produced by the fan. Tony in George Fox country writes in and says, I'll say it again, NHL glass pounding is worse than the traditional horn blowing in the CFL. I don't hear either one. Like, when you say the glass pounding, I don't get it. I don't get why, when there's action along the boards, the people want to get up and pound on the glass. It makes no sense why you would want to do that, but they do it. And I don't hear it. So when people have these discussions, I kind of right over my head. Part of because I have the sound turned down. And number two, I've never really heard. Do you hear the people banging on the glass, Darren? I do not.
A little bit, not often.
Yeah, not a lot.
No, not often.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, like, call anybody out, but this is more of an American thing than a Canadian thing. Get up on the glass and pound. We remember Glass Banger in Dallas getting into it with Biz on social media last year in the playoffs. But you know what? It's not a problem, I don't think.
No. El Sasco writes in from Bechard, Saskatchewan. Reverend Sasko is what he signs his name here, 902-518-3033. He writes in and he says, hey, solid show to start off Labor Day week. Were you part of the banning from the proposed Danny Barrett media blackout back in the day in Saskatchewan? I totally forget why he wanted to do it. Was I part of it? You know better than that, Reverend Sasko. I was part of everything. From definitely 1999 to 2018, but really a long time before. Of course I was. And the real funny thing about that, for those that don't know, this Danny Barrett guy of which we speak is the current assistant head coach and running backs coach of the Houston Texans, associate head coach of D'Amico Ryan with the Houston Texans. But we had a chain link fence around our practice field. Chain link. And my God, those were the good old days. Those were the good old days of Saskatchewan tough Rough Rider football. And Danny Barrett, he always had a feud going with the media with somebody. And usually it was Daryl Davis at the leader post. And Danny said, screw it. We're closing practice. Danny, it's a chain link fence. I don't care. We're closing it. No media. Locking the doors. But you can watch it from the Lawson. I don't care. Close practice. So Sasko's asking why it happened like every second week. So whatever. Was I part of it? Yeah, I was a part of everything. I always loved when they closed practices because then I could go for lunch with a buddy or something, or maybe pick my kid up early from school. I wished every practice was closed. Anyways, you're laughing. Your thoughts?
No, it's just fun memories thinking about that. And where my mind goes, it feels like an eternity since Danny Barrett was the coach in Saskatchewan. And it is an eternity, right? It's 20-some years since he was the coach, in Saskatchewan. But he's had a whole career in the NFL. He's had so much success down there, and Houston's looking like a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl. So maybe Danny will get a ring down there.
Yep. It's amazing how many people are talking about the Utah situation. Robin in Prince Albert writes in, he says, well, at least the Utah Hockey Club saved money by using the old Winnipeg Ice jerseys. I know what he's saying. They got the black and blue, what would you call that? Cobalt blue? I think that's what they call that blue, cobalt blue. It's like obsidian green, but the blue version. I do like the colors, but I'm with Darren. 2 weeks max to come up with a new logo. Don't tell me they're going to do it right. Come on. I didn't think we'd be talking about the Utah Hockey Club today. Jay in Winnipeg writes in, he says, get them to buy their Utah Hockey Club jerseys now and then pick the team name and sell more jerseys next season. They're not that smart, but thanks for trying. I think that's it for you. Are you keeping track of the picks? Because somewhere along the way, I lost where it is.
Yes.
What it is.
Yes. I have the picks. I don't have it top of mind, but I have the graphic, and I'll share it with you, and we'll have it this week.
You kind of sucked the hind one this week in your picks, eh? I was 3-1.
I think we were both. Yeah, I'll look back at the picks, but
I had Toronto. You had Sask.
Yeah, I had Ottawa.
We both had Winnipeg.
You had BC.
No.
Oh yeah,
no, I had Ottawa.
No, you had BC, and I had Ottawa.
Oh, can we rewind the last 10 seconds? Maybe 20
Check
seconds.
the tape. The command center.
The receipts. We got it. Our command center is far more efficient than
I think we were both 2-2.
We were 2-2. Well, I should have been. We haven't even talked about Nathan Rourke yet today. Well, we got all week to do it. Is he going to come out of this?
Yes. Oh, yes. No,
okay.
no question.
I think so, too. I think so, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a great Toronto day.
See ya.
John Lou's in next. We're live on the Game Plus television network, which is channel 1190 on Bell MTS cable, channel 230 on Rogers Shaw. Our radio partner, of course, is WQEE, the former home of the Jet. Streaming live on YouTube and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic at Aspen Links in Regina this Saturday, hosted by the RP Show. It's your chance to golf with your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers greats. We're going to have a draft the night before, an after party at Ballers. DM us for details. TSN's John Lute joins us now. We'll talk some Jets with him. Hey, but John, as an original Winnipegger, welcome back, by the way. When I say Labor Day Classic, does that stir up some emotions in you, being the CFL guy that you are?
100%. Yeah, absolutely, Rod. This is the best time of year for the CFL, isn't it? I mean, the second half of the season. Season starts with Labor Day Classic, green, blue and gold. Stoked for it.
What are your storylines through let's just say the first half of the season? We're actually well past the halfway point, but you know what I mean. What's been your stories?
For the Blue Bombers or the CFL?
Both.
We'll start with the Bombers. I think that it's that they've had to overcome a lot of adversity. This started in training camp. First of which is they lost some pretty key personnel, guys on all three phases of the game, like Janarian Grant, Jamarcus Hardrick. On defense, who did they lose on defense? I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but I mean they've had flux on defense. Or Demario Houston. Then they've gone through key injuries right out of the hopper, like Kenny Lawler, Dalton Schoen, now Adam Bighill, you name it. They've had a lot of stuff going on that's really tested their mettle because their salary cap got crunched, got squeezed because of the big name signings they made in the offseason that forced them to have to cut the budget elsewhere. And so this is a team that's that it took them a while to find their way, but the way that the defense has really stepped up in the last 4 or 5 games, you can see that, well, I mean, to go with that old cliche, that axiom of defense wins championships, if the Bombers go far this season, if they manage to emerge at the top of the pack in this crazy wide open Western division, a big part of it will be their defense. And so that's one of my storylines too, is just like the absolute wide open Wild West. There is no clear cuts favorites in that division. It's really, there are 4 teams that could realistically have a chance of coming out and hosting the West Final. And so that's a lot of fun, especially with the games of their import that start this weekend coming and that take us right through. I think it'll be a sprint to the finish there. And in the East, it's really impressive to see Montreal picking up where they left off after their Grey Cup win. Superb record, looking really good, going to get better with Austin Mack coming back into the fold. And once Cody Fajardo is able to get healthy and return to the lineup, they'll probably look even better, considering that Donovan Alexander has been, fantastic fill-in for him. So nice story in Ottawa as well with Drew Brown, the way that he sees the reins in his first season as the number 1 pivot there. And I love many of the nail-biting finishes, the comeback wins, the crazy finishes, whether by teams with game-winning drives or kickers with their failures or turnovers. It's like, I don't recall a season where there's been so much drama in the last 3 to 5 minutes of the game. We're used to the 3-minute warning, but it's just been escalated this season. And the other thing, too, that's a storyline for me is that there doesn't seem to be a real clear-cut favorite for MOP in either division. That there's no one dominant player, I think, that's coming out of the East or the West. And so that'll be fascinating to watch. But I think, Milligan, your guy in Saskatchewan, I think he has an excellent chance of being the West MOP. And unless somebody really steps up in the East, I think he could be the most outstanding player this season.
He's doing historic things and would be the first defensive player to win league MVP since Solomon Elamimian, and that's saying something. But, you're right. It's had its foibles, command center blunders and that. But overall, the crowds are increasing. Usually happens in the second half. But in Winnipeg, they've been big all year. I got to ask you this. You weren't around, I don't think, for a large of the Bombers' problems in that 30-year drought. But to look at it now, it's hard to believe that they went from that to this. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you have to really give Mike O'Shea a huge amount of that credit. Even though he refuses to take it, he doesn't want to be acknowledged as the purveyor of the culture in Winnipeg. But it really started with Mike O'Shea. When he first was hired, I mean, it's been a decade now, he didn't have quite the personnel that was able to mesh with the zeitgeist that he wanted to build in that dressing room. But now that you have long-standing veterans, even though some of them have moved on, but Zach Collaros was an instant, completely simpatico fit when he came in 5 years ago. But still have a lot of the core. Pat Neufeld, Stanley Bryant, Adam Bighill, Willie Jefferson. Guys, Nick Dembski. They seamlessly went from Andrew Harris to Brady Oliveira. Guys that go. That fit into that culture, they are the ones that carry on not just the standard of play, but the cohesiveness and the atmosphere in that dressing room. And to be honest with you, Rod, I don't know if I've ever witnessed an atmosphere quite like that, where where the team is so their philosophy, the way of doing things, their culture is, and I mean, everybody talks about culture in every team and every sport at every level, but the Bombers really have something that is so solid going on. That's, once they got it in gear 5 years ago, going and winning back-to-back Grey Cups, it just kept going, and they just keep bringing in the guys that fit into that program. And that's actually the acronym that's one of their, is one of their mottos, FIFO, which for public consumption stands for fit in or forfeit your opportunity, when in fact
Okay.
it means fit in or FO. So I mean, we don't have to take a leap to figure that out, right?
How about that?
And that's the way they operate, and they do not deviate from that philosophy. And so it's no surprise that the Bombers they've been able to pull it together as we approach the midway point of the season and go into the crunch time. And to be honest with you, it's like, even if they squeak in third place in the division, I don't think the two teams ahead of them want to have anything to do with facing the Bombers in a playoff game going right through to the, from semifinal or West final.
That's why when they were 0-4, I'm like, they'll be fine. They're not fine now, but they'll figure it out. And I'll be honest, I saw Mike O'Shea's induction speech at the Hall of Fame in Hamilton on the field at Tim Hortons. I was there. I think it was 2017. So it was a long time ago. And I was like, oh, the Riders are done. They're done. Because this guy spoke about work ethic. You've never earned anything in this world. Every single day you need to fight for it. And I was like, oh, man, that's it, man. If that's the way the Bombers are going, the Riders, and it's just, we've seen what's happened. I got to ask you this, lastly, on the Winnipeg Jets. How's it going to work? The handing of the baton from Rick Bowness to Scott Arniel. How much success are they going to have?
There's going to be continuity there for sure, Rod, simply because Scott Arniel worked so closely with Bones for 2 seasons as his associate coach. So the fundamental principles of that system, defense-first system, puck pressure, that will remain intact. But so my understanding is that Scott Arniel has worked very closely with Davis Payne and Dean Chenoweth, his 2 new assistants, like burning the midnight oil from the time that he hired his 2 new assistants. And they're going to be embracing analytics much more so than the club has in years past, well, ever, for that matter. And so there will be some similarities. succeeding Rick Bowness, but there will be some tweaks to it, which will be interesting to see because fundamentally, this is the same team. At this moment in time, it's fundamentally the same team. That there are very few changes in personnel. They bought out Nate Schmitz. They let Brendan Dillon walk in free agency. So a couple of young guys are going to get more responsibilities, right, on the blue line, and there'll be a couple of spots up front. As it stands, there'll be a couple of spots up front that would be open to prospects that are in the system right now. So it's going to be interesting to watch training camp preseason to see if these young guys can really insert themselves into the equation, because Kevin Shoveldayoff early in the offseason said, he sent a signal to his young prospects that this is their opportunity. Their time is now to step up and step into roles that are available. So failing a transaction just before training camp, I don't see this lineup looking much different than it did from the end of the most recent season. And so how Scott Arniel is able to get the most out of this group and to take them a little bit further than they did last season, that'll be the interesting big picture element to watch with the Jets.
Going to be fun to watch. But for now and until then, football. John, thanks for the update. Fantastic as always. Enjoy the week.
Thanks for having me on, Rod. Always a pleasure.
TSN Winnipeg's John Liu. Overtime is next with one last viewer takeover and the sports update. We'll be right back. It's for Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. We are live on the Game Plus TV network, Key Radio, streaming live on YouTube, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hi, everybody. The Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. The studio is here in Moose Jaw for one more week. Our last week of summer, and then headed back to the Sunshine State. As far as Overtime Hockey Lanes goes, hockey players, are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. With state-of-the-art shooting lanes and top-notch equipment, it's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Now is a good time to get out there just ahead of hockey starting if yours hasn't yet. Hey, Stacy at Access World Headquarters writes in and he says, great show today. Thank you, Stacy. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in and he says, this group sure props up Nathan Rourke. Maybe he just isn't that good. Have a good day, everyone. Are you referring to this group? I think all of Canadian football fans prop up Nathan Rourke. And here's the thing. Why... Yeah, we didn't talk about it today as much as I would have liked, but that's fine. We talked a lot of NFL, college football, and a lot of hockey. That's what we do. But we saw what Nathan Rourke's capable of when he won Most Outstanding Canadian in 2022 with the BC Lions. We saw it. And first place in the West. So it's there. And he's not that guy now. So it's not like we're sitting there talking about potential. He's already achieved it. That's what got him an NFL deal. He's come back from the NFL. He's not the same guy. We all believe he's going to get back to that point. There's no doubt. But how long is it going to take? Touchdown Pacific, maybe it'll be this weekend in Victoria, BC when they take on Ottawa. Rick, hey, I just saw on Twitter, I don't, if it's to be believed or not, I'm not sure what the account was, but they said CeeDee Lamb is going to get his deal that he wants. We've learned a lot here today. Those rookie contracts, Brian in Hudson Bay asked, how long are they in the NFL? I thought they were 3 years. They're 4 years plus one. 4 years plus one. So as Brian said, it seems like guys like CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase have been in the NFL forever. They haven't. And the reason I know is CeeDee Lamb, now I'm an Alabama guy. That's where he played college, and a Cowboys fan. So I know he hasn't been around that long. But he's the best receiver on the Cowboys, one of the best in the NFL. And what we've learned, and I find it funny that the general managers, if they know they haven't talked about it, these players are coming out of college. And in Canada, I can't speak about college hockey. I'm going to talk about major junior. They're coming out of major junior ready to play younger than ever. Like Bedard was ready to play in the NHL at 17. People laughed at me. He didn't watch him every night. I did. He was ready. And these college players now, same thing. John Shannon talked about it last week. The CBA and the NHL. On this show, John Shannon talked about it. The CBA and the NHL needs to be updated. The rookie contracts need to be shorter because these players are playing at all-star level coming into the league. They're not taking 2-3 years to figure it out anymore. Why that is, I don't really know. I can only put it up to kids are growing up faster now. They're putting more time into their training. They're mature quicker, physically and emotionally and mentally, so that it needs to be reflected in the collective bargaining agreement. And how did they GMs not see this? Is what I'd like to know. Sports update, Yankees slugger Aaron Judge wrote his name in the history books again Sunday. He hit his 50th and 51st home runs of the season in New York's 10-3 victory over the Colorado Rockies. Meanwhile, Shohei Ohtani had quite a week, too. He became only the sixth player to reach 40 homers and 40 steals in a season. He did it in dramatic fashion. Home run number 40 was a walk-off grand slam for the Dodgers against Tampa. on Friday night. Meanwhile, play has started at the U.S. Open in New York. It is this year's last Grand Slam tennis tournament. Defending champions Coco Gauff and Novak Djokovic are among the big names on today's schedule at the hard court event. The sports updates brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and events. Canadian owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Use seatgiant.ca. And also, Monday is Seniors Day at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price. And to sweeten the deal, you get 20% off the concession purchase, too. That's a deal that never gets old at your local Landmark Cinemas. What are the viewers saying here? Allie in Texarkana, have a terrific Monday, everyone. Great show as always. Thank you, Allie. It was fun, and you were a big part of that. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says maybe Rourke's body of work is too small to judge his career either way. No, he's 26, but nice try. Tony from George Fox Country. Great show, squad. Back to fence staining. Have a good one, all. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for tuning it in. What do we got over here? Dipping over to the text line 902-518-3033. Regarding Danny Barrett's media blackouts and closed practices, Brian in Hudson's Bay says, I guess Danny Barrett was way ahead of his time, as now all teams are having closed practices. LOL. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. We'll do it all again tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.
Who has more fun than us?